Everyone, and welcome to Full Press Radio Live. It is Friday, October 21st, 2000, and we actually got a football game last night. Actually, one that was somewhat competent, and I was hoping yesterday, and I said it yesterday, I was hoping at least if we were going to get bad football, let's get an entertaining bad football game. We actually had some pretty good football last night, some entertaining football, to say the least. So perhaps this is the start of a new trend on Thursday Night Football, John? What do you think? Hopes up?
Yeah, let's hope so. Instead of 12-9 in overtime or 12-7 with the Bears over themselves with an opportunity to win at home, we get 42-30. We get Andy Dalton throwing 3 touchdown passes for his own, but unfortunately for him,
No, 4.
For the other
team. 4.
Yeah,
well,
4 for
John,
team, and then two the other way, which he contributed 6 touchdowns himself. But at the over, you love Andy Dalton.
Well, I think Al Michaels bet the over because he was quite excited going into halftime that they were about a point and a half from it already.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was hilarious though. If you were listening to the broadcast and right before first interception for Andy Dalton, Kirk Herbstreit was just going on and on and on about how calming of a presence Andy Dalton was and how much he. And look, his credit, those 2 games that he was playing in replacing Jameis Winston, he only turned the ball over one time, but who knew? I was sitting there chuckling in my head. I'm like, something's going to happen now, and spectacular because he threw 3 interceptions, 2 of which were pick sixes in the basically 2 minutes left half, which turned this game completely upside down, and obviously in Arizona's favor. But it was definitely entertaining. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, we finally got points on the board, and we got Kyler Murray upset with his coach, which happens pretty much every game.
I'm sure that's leading every broadcast, national broadcast, and Bart Scott is condemning it because just don't yell at your teammates. Right. Is that what's going on right now?
No,
of course, that's just a very deep thing. Hey, I'm not sensitive. I'm a.
No, not at all.
No, that doesn't. I don't get out of shape out of stuff like that. No, look. I mean, I say that just. I know sometimes cross on text on Twitter, which can cause some confusion because of a very dry way of speaking, I guess. Like that. But look, the reality of it is, like, I don't think this is some will come to the light moment for the Cardinals. I think this was the Cardinals beating up a bad football team, and they're kind of a bad football team too. I mean, I'll give them some slack as not having DeAndre Hopkins obviously he's going to make an impact on this team, but I found it made it fun. They showed the graphics to start in the game that the Cardinals had only run 13 plays all season. Conversely, they had run 300 or something trailing, which was the worst in the league. Like, that's a bad sign. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like blows are fixed because they went and beat up on Andy Dalton. You know what I mean? Who was without Michael Thomas, without the other receiver, Jarvis Landry. You know what I mean? And it was entertaining. I was entertained. I actually stayed up and I wasn't painfully watching, trying to get through the game. It was actually, but from a is this the moment the Cardinals season turns around standpoint? They absolutely not. And we joke about the yelling and stuff that happens all the time in every game, but we've seen issues between these two and with Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, and I really don't think they're necessarily on the same page. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, talent like DeAndre Hopkins on the field as well because not a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Cardinals who were somewhat notoriously cheap. I know there's a salary cap and all of that stuff, but they extended with Kingsbury 4 years, $32 million. So if they decide to move on from him, they're going to write a check to him. Which again, with the value of these franchises, it's kind of a rounding up for billionaires. I get it. They're not going to move on from Kyler Murray because they can do a ton of money to him, $200 million. So yeah, I mean, if these guys might get along, something's going to have to give, and that NFC West has got teams underperformed so far this year. And obviously, one of them being the Arizona Cardinals, who are now 3-4. I just Brady and Rodgers and Mahomes and Allen. Let's do it that way.
What kind of torture do you want to put on us, John? That's very sadistic. I feel like that's like a very sadistic way. Like people find violent things, but that's almost equally as violent to the viewing public. I would
Game would end in a tie.
say. Yeah, I think so, right? All I know is it would really be about more or less who wants to lose the game, who wants to not. I don't know. It would be basketball. It's got me really. It's got my head just spinning right now. Well, it was now 12 straight losses on prime time.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember the Bengals several times. The quarterback was pretty good. Like if you get prime time, they do it. They playoff. They do
Yeah,
never won a playoff game.
that's kind of the middle ground of the NFL. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
sure, yeah.
that's your standard quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I know, I give him a lot of slack, obviously, home, but Brady, Rodgers, Josh Allen. I mean, he's got comment. Kind of your NFL player. And what you get is the million next play at times, but that don't necessarily make every single time. And look, it's the hard thing to do, man. Like, these guys that continue to each and every year deliver. I mean, special quarterback. More often than not, you're going to get, if you have a pretty good quarterback, one, maybe two seasons where they truly have everything looking for them, and you just hope, God, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like the normal life cycle NFL franchise. You know? So,
Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57. You have four quarterbacks that won three more Super Bowls. Right? Brady obviously is the front with seven. Bradshaw and Montana with four. And 48 with three. Right? So those guys are outliers. And in addition to being great quarterbacks, all-time quarterbacks, they also have really good teams, coaches, and all of that stuff. People forget that the 49ers had an elite defense in the 80s. And then Dallas had an elite defense in the 90s. People forget that.
well, and also with the 49ers, prior to create, where, again, you can obviously retain players for the bulk of their career, is really the Deion Sanders move that really sparked the onset of what we know now as free agency. Obviously, free agency straight back to the 70s and, kind of the push towards that because that was kind of what was going on. There was a very limited quote unquote free agency prior to that. But during the bulk of the 49ers running, they have like so many options. They retain their players and to avoid
Yeah, and that NFC was loaded with I mean, you get Giant Bears, Washington, was a team that people forget when you think Super Bowls with three different quarterbacks. The first free agent, ironically, was Reggie White with Green Bay, a team that generally doesn't like free agents. I think he's well, Brady's the greatest free agent by any other guy went on a Super Bowl his first year in the fourth position. Reggie White is the most active free agent in the history of the only time with Green Bay. And he was there and he could deliver Super Bowl. So yeah, and then you had Dion and the next year when he was down, he pulled that off this year, right? He won the Super Bowl with the Rams and now he's potentially out there with Kansas City and behind him.
yeah, look, I mean, I would say just because the Italian, I mean, it's a NFL, 265 days sport with free agents. Uh, uh, the wee hours of the night you are 30 less. The news broke that the Carolina traded McCaffrey to it accounts for what. So if you're a Panthers fan, I'm sorry this season just got even worse than what it was because this move obviously was not now. This is about the future right now. I think I'm not well for considering they really have no choice. You don't hold guys and you're in such a lost state franchise because they were just kind of ship them off, get what you can. And I thought they got the most they could. And really not. They really you think it. I was really thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? This team is a we talked about it many times before. Healthy, this team looks like a Super Bowl out. They were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago with largely the same roster. You know, people, they've gone back on their decision to take partly largely because the injury to Trey Lance. But who knows if they look at the Saturday and it's not really drafted the offense really progress the season. They feel good at Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think we both agree is better right now. I mean, in the long run, who knows if Trey Lance is going to be. But the problem is, the team is a very limited quarterback. So what's the best way to protect your limited quarterback? Well, get some protection. And I don't mean for argument, I'm talking about a player that fits perfectly into what the 49ers do best, which is run the ball, and it gives you a better collection of outlet receivers that may not be effective enough. My point is, you have people in those aspects of the package, you have George Kittle and the other side of the you have some very, very high percentage growth. By that, I mean a lot of players that can do a lot of things at the line of scrimmage. Very least, all is not all of that. Generally, it's a positive thing.
Yeah, without question. I mean, this is a talented running back, and he's always been a darling in fantasy football. Like there were years where he'd go running back. And the draft picks are what they are. But players like Alvin, like you said, people say they're the cap, he's good skills, but he's not used to pretty good number two wide receiver. They're going to get Trent Williams back to left tackle. So there's plenty of talent surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo. Who needs that? He's not a guy who's going to elevate the talent. Like also, I mean, yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. I think that why not? I don't know. we remember. We were talking about that.
No, obviously, things are not good at all. The reality of that is McCaffrey's quarterback right now is because I don't know, yeah, you know what, I'll bring it up. I have to do it now because but it was for great things. For, you know, if you think about it, the assumption was, I'll just give you a graph. I think I did a couple weeks ago on this first year, but I thought, well, there's a always far more likely to possible. So, I don't know,
You get a third chance, John. Go out and get Tom Brady, who now has Christian McCaffrey. You have Debo Samuel, and maybe you get a couple seasons. It kind of closes that gap until you start getting that draft capital back. So right now, I think it makes the 49ers a better team. Do I think they overpaid? Yes. Do I think they drastically overpaid if Christian McCaffrey gets injured? Absolutely. But that's kind of the gamble and the risk that you take.
Yeah, I mean, if you're all in, and I think they look at the NFC as completely wide open at this point, right?
Oh, sure.
And they
Oh,
did
sure.
make it.
I think that's part of it too. I mean, they're looking at it like, yeah, we're flawed, but I mean, who isn't in this conference?
Yeah, I mean, they made it to the NFC Championship game a year ago and had a 10-point lead on the road.
And you got players that, I mean, again, if he's healthy, Christian McCaffrey, it's funny. You have arguably the best running receiver. Now, again, Cordero Patterson probably has something to say about that, but he hasn't been playing the last couple of weeks. So, in Debo Samuel. And then you have probably the best pass catching running back on your roster now in Christian McCaffrey. So that would be an absolute dream. Plus George Kittle for Tom Brady. So I don't know if it's necessarily this big long-term plan to again try to get Tom Brady. But right now, I do know this move was certainly one to bolster their chance in the NFC because they have as good a shot as anyone. I mean, again, right now, based on what we've seen in 6 weeks, again, that can change. I do believe that the Bucs are going to kind of figure it out a little bit more, and maybe that will change things. But right now, they have as good of a shot as any, especially in that division where, again, we were asking just a few days ago or just yesterday if the Seahawks were the best team in that division. And I don't know. Are they? Maybe. They could be. The 49ers could be. Maybe the Rams. Maybe the Cardinals. Actually, I don't know about the Cardinals, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, with Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey, the San Francisco 49ers certainly have the best-looking backfield in the NFL, right? I mean, you got Jimmy G's a marquee idol, and Christian McCaffrey, I believe, dates Olivia Culpo, who was Miss America. I mean, it's a good-looking backfield. Maybe Brady would be upset about that because, Jimmy G's a better-looking guy than Brady. So
I think you got a little Paisan envy there. You're always talking about Jimmy G.
But Jimmy G?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
No, yeah, that's true.
Well, my evolving man crush is on Josh Allen because I just watch him play, and it's like, holy crap, I haven't seen that. Well, I have seen it before with John Elway, but no, I think what Carolina's doing makes sense, right? They're not going to be good anytime soon.
We said this like last week. They kind of had to trade him. Yeah,
and they got more than I thought they'd go to 2 or 3 or 4 this year, or 5 next year. Brian Burns. I don't know about moving on from Brian Burns. He's 24 years old. He's a really good pass rusher. I mean, so if you move him for a first-round pick, are you going to replace him with that first-round pick? I'm not sure. DJ Moore, I believe, is also another player that might be on the move, the wide receiver. Look, everybody's looking for wide receivers. So, go ahead and get as much draft capital, bring someone in to run that organization and start fresh. They've got an owner that's owned the team for, I believe, 3 years, David Tepper. So he's got deep pockets. Well, they all have deep pockets, but, they can go ahead and start a rebuild.
Yeah, and look, I mean, they had to do something, and there's no redeeming quality about this team this season. So might as well just commit to the suck because that's what they're going to do. I mean, they're a bad team right now. I think they made a bad move to acquire Baker Mayfield, a at best lateral move, and one that seems to have actually gone backwards because he's played very poorly this season. So to me, I'm like, this is the best Carolina could hope for. I don't think any team was willing to fork over a first-round pick or more. But then again, you never knew which team was going to get desperate. And in this case, Carolina or San Francisco doesn't have a first-round pick this season, so they couldn't give them a first-round pick. So this is what they settled on.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I guess we'll go to our game picks because it is Friday. Lost in all this hoopla of the trades and everything like that is we do have more NFL games to be had this weekend, and a few teams on a bye, including the Bills, so we're not going to see the Bills there, but we are going to see Green Bay trying to avoid a third straight loss, their first third straight loss under LaFleur, potentially. They're heading to Washington, and look, Washington at times can look like an elite team, but I don't know. I would love to see Green Bay lose 3 games in a row because I'm kind of petty like that. But
that's mean.
Yeah. You should see what I go through from Packers fans. You wouldn't think it's too mean. I'm just kind of getting back a little bit. But Green Bay at Washington, I got to go Green Bay. I can't see them losing 3 games in a row. Certainly, very poor performance last week. I think they bounced back against against Washington, who's starting for them. It's not Carson Wentz. It's the Taylor Heineke. Thank you.
Yeah. That might be an upgrade.
It might be. Honestly, it might be. So, Green Bay on upset alert. What say you, John?
Well, they're always on upset alert because right now they're not very good. Washington can rush the passer, which is a concern because the Packers' offensive line, I think, is underperformed. Aaron Rodgers is underperformed. But just as importantly, the defense is underperformed. They have 7 first-round picks on that defense, and it looked like it was going to be an elite defense, and it hasn't been the last several weeks against, of all teams, the Giants and the Jets. But I think they'll find a way to win. Rodgers called for the team to simplify the offense, which I think makes sense. Play with a little faster pace and and get a win, because next week you're going to Buffalo on Sunday night. That ain't going to be easy.
No, I can tell you right now, I'm already picking Buffalo. With 2 weeks to prepare, I'm sorry. So Green Bay, this is this is kind of a must win if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
we use the term must win so often, and it's overused, and it's never really literal. I mean, I get it, but you lose this game, you fall to 3-4, and again, I have there's nothing that makes me believe that they're going to be able to beat Buffalo right now as they're presently constituted. So unless something drastically changes between now and then, you're looking at 4 losses by next week, so at least. So you better win this one and not have 5, because you have 5 losses, and I know we don't believe, and we joke about Kirk Cousins and Minnesota. They're at 5-1 right now. So you have 5 losses. You are significantly behind the pace, and even if you turn things around, it might be too little, too late to catch up. And then you're talking about some really, really bad odds. So next we have the Giants heading to Jacksonville. Each and every week, I think we're buying more and more into the Giants, and I don't see how that's going to change this week. I like what Jacksonville's doing, but I think the Giants are going to get things done here.
I'm calling for the upset.
Ooh.
This game makes no sense, especially in terms of the Las Vegas line. Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite at home. They're 2-4. The Giants are 5-1, coming off impressive wins against Green Bay and Baltimore. I mean, those are pretty good teams, right? And they were able to come back to beat both of those teams. I think they may come out a little bit flat. They went to London, back home. Now they're going south to Jacksonville. I'm calling for the upset, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, next we have Detroit at Dallas. Dak Prescott, we all assume, is going to be back, and it looks like he's going to be back. I think he said he's going to be back. Detroit's coming off a bye week. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think Dallas is going to win. I don't think it's really going to ever be in doubt. I just think, Dallas probably going to jump out to a nice lead. Detroit's going to battle back and going to kind of go back and forth a little bit, but ultimately, I think Dak prevails in his return.
Yeah, I like Dallas. I think that pass rush of the Cowboys will get Jared Goff completely out of sorts, and Dallas should be able to win this game, I would say, handily.
Next, we have Atlanta heading to Cincinnati, and this might be an upset, but I'm taking Atlanta to win this game. They've been kind of competitive, oddly, and I think the Bengals, the Bengals aren't a perfect team, and their early season struggles seem to be getting better, but it just makes me feel like they're kind of ripe for that upset. So give me Atlanta on the road in this one.
I think this could sneakily be the best game of the day. I mean, I know Kansas City's at San Francisco. That's a marquee game, obviously, and now you add Christian McCaffrey into the mix. But this could be an exciting game because Cincinnati's always playing kind of crazy games where, they're being beaten by a walk-off field goal or Joe Burrow's hitting Jamar Chase for a winning touchdown. They're always involved in good games. I like Cincinnati here. I think they're starting to get their offensive line straightened out. Their defense is very good, very underrated. But interesting note, Atlanta 6-0 against the spread this year.
Yeah.
So they've kept all their games close. Arthur Smith, the head coach of Atlanta, I didn't think that was a good roster last year. He was 7-10, which is nothing great, but 7-10 with that roster, not bad. 3-3 this year, very creative play caller. But I like Cincinnati in this game. I think Cincinnati right now could be the third best team in the AFC, and they've got the quarterback and obviously with Jamar Chase as his prime target to get this done.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. If they keep, fixing the mistakes that hurt them earlier, they can absolutely work their way right back up there. So next we have Cleveland at Baltimore, and as much as I don't necessarily trust Baltimore each and every week, I trust Cleveland even less. So give me Baltimore at home.
Baltimore's the weirdest team in the league, isn't it, Ian? I mean, they played 6 games, right? 6 games, 24 quarters. For 21 of those 24 quarters, you can make a case they've been the best team in football, right? They totally collapsed against Miami in the fourth quarter, had a 17-point lead against Buffalo and lost that, and then they're up 10 late against the Giants and lost that. They can't seem to close. They obviously need a closer. They should be able to win this game. Cleveland looks to be a mess. They're just holding on, trying to wait till Deshaun Watson returns in about another 5 or 6 weeks.
So we think. Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina's a bad team. Again, I look. My biggest concern, and again, it's not the injuries, and fortunately, I said this long before everyone jumped on the bandwagon, so I can kind of take credit for it a little bit. But my biggest concern with this Tampa Bay team is and has been the coaching and play calling. Can they
Mhm.
call a good game, an appropriate game? And if so, they should handle the Carolina Panthers. But if they want to do what they don't do best and force feed the running back or be very predictable like they have been, then it might be a lot closer. But even so, I think Tampa Bay wins this one. I really hope that they commit to this play style because you got a team in Baltimore the following week that you want to make sure that your offense is moving it, working at all cylinders. But I do think Tampa Bay wins this one on the road.
Yeah, they should. I mean, especially after the debacle last week in Pittsburgh. And Carolina has a decent defense. They can rush the passer a bit. So they might make it interesting for a while, but you got to like Tampa in this situation.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, just play to their strengths. It's the most frustrating thing about watching that team play is that they just seem like they just don't want to um, throw the ball. I mean, they do. It's hard to explain because like it's kind of so like the numbers seem to be a lot more even. Certainly because of the last few weeks, they have thrown the ball more. But a lot of that is really skewed because of the fact that Tom Brady threw the ball 27 straight times against Kansas City. So, like, if you look through the first few weeks where they were barely scoring 20 points but winning, their defense was certainly playing a lot better too. I mean, they've kind of fallen off as well. But they were like 50-50, and I'm sitting there pounding my head. I'm like, you don't win like this in the NFL. Like you'll pick up a few wins here and there against some bad teams, but you're not going to beat the best teams in the league that way.
No.
And it's frustrating because it's like they're capable, obviously, of doing the exact opposite because of who they have under center. So we'll see what happens. This should be a nice, quote unquote, get right game, hopefully, for the Buccaneers, who really need a nice confidence boost, nice 4 quarters of good play. So next we have Indy at Tennessee. I got Tennessee winning this game again. I think that division is just kind of meh.
Mhm.
Whoever wins that division, I'm like, whatever. Someone had to win it, right? But in this case, I think Tennessee wins, and I think they are playing better football than what they were at the beginning of the year. But no, not too much
Yeah, it started
confidence
0.
either. Yeah.
No, it started 0-2, won 3 in a row. The quarterback play is spotty on both teams. Yeah, I'll go with Tennessee in this situation. Derrick Henry could just be the difference in this game because Jonathan Taylor is still going to be questionable. So that running back matchup would be a decided check mark to Tennessee. So I'll remember the Titans in this one.
Ooh, I like that. Nice.
Yeah.
The New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. And again, it always, just like the smell of Heineken beer, not Heineke, it always gives a nasty taste in my mouth, and it makes my stomach turn to say anything positive about the Jets. But I guess it's offset by my joy of, once again, piling on the Denver Broncos. So I guess the Jets are going to win this one on the road and watch the Broncos slide continue.
Is Russell Wilson playing? And if he is, I don't know if it really matters the way he's been playing. He feels like a backup quarterback. The only thing about the Jets is they haven't had success in over a decade. Now they've won 3 in a row, including winning at Lambeau. That was a huge win for them last week. Are they going to come back and are they going to be flat? We see this so much in the NFL, right? Like teams have a huge win, they follow it up with a stinker. That's just the way it works. So, and Denver's got a little extra time to prepare, which may be a bad thing. Looking at their coaching staff, like give them an extra 3 days, they may really screw it up. But I'll go with the Jets in this one because I kind of want to see the Pats win and the Jets win, so then you'd have the Pats at the Jets next week in a pretty important game in approaching Halloween, which would be pretty cool.
Which is funny to think because after 3 weeks we were certain that Miami was clearly the second best team, and now they, again, they'll get better once Tua's back, but they have some other issues, not just Tua related. So Houston at Las Vegas, Vegas having a week off. I got the Raiders winning this one. They're a weird team too, where it's like, but on paper they seem like they should be better. Like I know people pile in Derek Carr. I think he's an okay quarterback. I mean, he falls into that category, like I said earlier, with Andy Dalton, where that muddied middle, which is the full quarterback. So yeah, I mean, but in theory, he should be able to win some games. I think they do win this one because I don't know. I like him at home, and I just think 2 weeks. I think Josh McDaniels will get him ready to play.
An interesting matchup will be if Houston matches up Derek Stingley Jr., who's a brilliant young cornerback, against Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is a difficult guy to cover one-on-one. He's the best receiver, or at least the second best receiver in football. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I do like the Raiders here. Coming off that bye week, they played pretty well in Kansas City on that Monday night and came up a little bit short. They need to win this one, or they'll completely lose track of their competition in the AFC West. So I'll take the Vegas Raiders in this one.
Well, if the Raiders win and this next game plays out the way I'm going to pick it, then it might get a little interesting because, and this isn't because of Christian McCaffrey. I actually made this pick before the Christian McCaffrey trade. I don't know. The 49ers coming off a bad loss. I think the Chiefs, again, if you talk to their fans, they would be like 36-0 if like 3 things happened, which again, that's not how things work, but that's what they're doing right now. And look, whatever makes you feel better. I think this team might be kind of right for that upset. And I think adding Christian McCaffrey, because this Chiefs defense is certainly not in the run game. They can't stop the run at all. And in the past, they've been able to kind of overcome those defensive issues because of an explosive offense. And they're still an elite offense, but they're lacking that explosion. So, I mean, again, maybe this will be an instance of San Francisco thinking about this game a lot more than the Chiefs. Obviously, the Super Bowl loss still probably, gets them in the, we got to get him back. So maybe there's a little bit extra motivation. Christian McCaffrey making his debut. And like we talked about earlier, often injured, but he's been healthy so far this season. And that's what we have to assume he's going to be when they play on Sunday. So, John, I'm picking the upset. I'm taking San Francisco at home.
Yeah, I mean, this is should be the best game of the weekend, right? You've got a Super Bowl contender in Kansas City, and if healthy, a Super Bowl contender, San Francisco, adding McCaffrey, the revenge factor from the Super Bowl 3 years ago. A lot of storylines involved with this. In a situation like this, and it's kind of odd, San Francisco's underdog at home. Generally, they're favored at home because they're considered one of the top teams. I'm going to go with Kansas City in this one, and I'm just going to base it on they have the better quarterback, and I think it's a pretty wide margin of Mahomes over Garoppolo. So I'll go with that at that point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is going to be like one of those funky games. This isn't going to be like a toe-to-toe San Francisco just comes out on top. This is going to be like there's going to be some turnovers. There's going to be some Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel, one of them is going to go for like some 60-plus yard play that, you know what I mean? It's going to be something like that, like massive swings that I think the 49ers, just based on the situation, might have a few more of. Doesn't mean they're a better team. I'm just saying, in this week, this Sunday, I think it might be a good situation, good prime situation for 49ers. So Sunday Night Football, we have Pittsburgh at Miami. I got the Dolphins winning this one. Again, I look, Pittsburgh beat Tampa last week, and I would have never believed it, but it is what it is. I don't think that they have another, I guess, upset, even though I don't think you know what I mean? Like, I'm not putting Miami at the same level. I think Miami's going to win this one. I think Pittsburgh kind of got their nice win out of the way, and they're going to kind of go back to what they have been all season. So give me Miami in this one.
Yeah, I would say so. They've got a lot of injuries in the defensive secondary. Pittsburgh does, and I think that's not good news when you're facing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua coming back. So, I think Miami should be able to take care of business.
Just like we took care of business here today. Wrapped it up nice and clean with a few minutes to spare. So that's going to do it for us here today. Be sure to tune in Sunday morning when myself and Braden Hosek, we preview all this action once more. Sunday morning, then, of course, Full Press Fantasy Live following right after. Then, John, we will be back Monday morning to talk about how right I was about the San Francisco 49ers upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Give us a follow on Twitter at FPC Radio Live. And of course, head over to fullpresscoverage.com to check out all the great content heading into yet another week in the NFL. So thank you everyone, and we will talk to you later.